Good morning, everyone, and welcome. I'd like to be here with you today, but my business commitments got in the way of what I wanted to do today, and so here I am on tape. But that doesn't mean I'm less committed to this cause and less impressed that all of you have chosen to come out and be part of this important workshop. What I'd like to do is start with my story, how I got involved in the whole area of suicide prevention, and then talk to you a little bit about what I see coming ahead for the Action Alliance and the Executive Committee as we go through the next couple of years working on this important cause. I work for a railroad. I work for Union Pacific. We're North America's largest freight railroad. And suicide by train is a problem for us on several levels, as it is for other railroads in the United States. First, it's an issue for our crews. We have people in locomotives that witness these accidents when they happen. And it's really traumatic. As you can imagine, a train is moving along, someone chooses to end their life by getting in front of that train, and while a train can stop on its own length, that length is at least a mile long. Once the accident has taken place and the train has stopped, our employees have to get off that train and walk back to where the person is. Well, you can imagine what goes through their mind as they walk half, 3/4 of a mile, not knowing what they're going to see. So there's a human, emotional trauma for our employees. And then candidly, there's also a business aspect to it, because with the train stopped, we have customer service issues, we have productivity issues, and so there's a real cost to it. Dealing with suicide by train has been part of our industry's efforts, working with the Federal Railroad Administration and other parts of our government to try to get to answers. But our position is we can do more, and this is a problem that we cannot say we have nothing to do with. We have to be involved. We think there are solutions to making the problem better. As I had the chance to get on the Executive Committee when Senator Gordon Smith, the first private sector co-chair, asked us to be involved, I candidly got into it very narrowly on what's in it for the railroad. But as time has gone on, I've become far more interested in the notion that there are techniques that will lower the overall rate of suicide in a particular area. And as I've gone to Executive Committee meetings and heard some of the best minds in the world talk about their efforts, this notion of finding a way to help lower the rate of suicide in a particular area began to take hold. So last January, we put together a workshop that the Action Alliance organized to educate first Union Pacific, but also the other rails, on what is the state of the art in suicide prevention across the world. And we learned a lot, and learned that there really are techniques that will lower the rate. And we're in the process at our company today of organizing a pilot project to begin to try some techniques to see if we can affect a lower rate in an area where we operate. And I'm very confident that working this thing through, we're going to get to a point where we do learn some things that can work. And if we do, we're then going to take it to scale, because it is a business issue for us, but it's also a human issue for our employees. I've been surprised at how interested in this I've gotten, candidly, but it has really become a priority for our company, and we're going to continue to work on it, both because it's a business priority, but also because of my interest and our company's interest in helping make this better. In thinking about what kind of an impact the Action Alliance can have and what I can bring to that, there are really three priorities that we're going to work on. The first is one where we're going to work cooperatively with the insurance world, the United Healthcares, the Blue Cross Blue Shields of the world, to try to see if we can't find a way to influence the screening that takes place with healthcare providers, emergency departments, family physicians. Because better screening should result in better care. And I think it's a way where, as the customers of these insurance companies, working with them and the people they fund, we have an opportunity to make a difference. So that's the first. The second is employee safety. Many companies, most companies, certainly large ones, are very involved in the health of their workforce. Employees are very expensive to find, very expensive to hire. In our case, we have to interview about 40 people to get to a single employee. And then it takes 14 weeks of training to bring them through all of the required training before they show up on the job for the first day. There's a huge cost to that. We want to keep our employees engaged. We want to keep them healthy. And while we work on smoking cessation, on exercise, on weight loss, we don't do enough yet on mental health. And I think from an employee safety perspective, there's an opportunity to help companies understand the value to them in being more engaged in treating suicide prevention, mental health, as an employee engagement and an employee wellness cause. We've lost 4 employees to suicide so far this year in our company alone. And we're committed to doing more than what we've done so that we can identify folks that need help and try to steer them towards help that is effective and appropriate. And then the third priority deals with philanthropy. As part of my job, I head our foundation. So I spend a fair amount of time paying attention to what's going on in the philanthropic world across the country. And one of the trends that's going on is a quest for more accountability in philanthropy. And with data better, with tracking better, I think there's a huge opportunity to get more philanthropic dollars aimed at a variety of suicide prevention efforts, because increasingly there is data that says it's effective, it makes a difference. And with this data and with this opportunity, I think we can bring more dollars to spending on suicide prevention in the philanthropic arena. So that, employee safety, and urging better screening at the healthcare facilities in communities across this country will be the 3 priorities that we're working towards as an executive committee that I think we can make a real difference on. Finally, we're going to bring more business connection to the executive committee. I think it's an opportunity for other companies to get involved, and I'm going to be reaching out to other companies to try to find folks like me who have a business reason to be involved, but who can become a force for change and a resource for the larger effort across the country. Finally, as I said a few minutes ago, I've been surprised at how interested in this I've become. I've been blessed that I've had no experience with it in my family or among friends, so I didn't really come at it that way. But I have come to believe it's an opportunity to help my company on an important issue. It's an opportunity to be part of something big and important, which I find very satisfying. And finally, kind of by surprise, there was a personal connection. So I want to finish with just a short story. I have a daughter who's 26, lives in Philadelphia, and she's a dancer and works for a catering company because that's where you have to pay the rent. She was at work about a week ago in Philadelphia and was walking from one building to another and saw a woman sitting in the dirt by the side of the road holding her arm. And my daughter stopped and asked if she was okay, and the woman said no, that she'd been hit by a car. My daughter offered to help. Can I call somebody? She said, well, my cell phone's dead. So my daughter used her cell phone to call this woman's brother. Well, in the course of the conversation, the woman said that she had stepped in front of the car intentionally in the hope of ending her life, but that the car hadn't been going fast enough. Well, my daughter was obviously quite taken by this and kept talking with her. And because of conversations I've had with my daughter, my daughter said to her, can I call you in a week to see how you're doing? I care about you. I want to know how you're doing. The woman said, yes, would you please do it? Well, that night my daughter calls and said, okay, I've said that, now what do I do? Well, working through the resources of the Action Alliance, we've connected with the hotline in Philadelphia, given them the information, and they're having a clinician, a counselor, call this woman to say that my daughter asked that they follow up. That made me feel like a very proud parent of my daughter. It made me happy that I was able to give her resources so that when she was in a totally unexplained situation, she knew what to do and how to act. So really, between important to my company, part of something important and large in our country, and then a very personal connection, I am enthused about the opportunity to make a real difference in suicide prevention. I'm delighted to be part of this organization, and again, I want to thank you all for being here at a very important meeting on a very important cause.